Welcome to SI Now. I'm Robin Lundberg here with Ryan Aselta. And Ryan, who has a better supporting cast, us or LeBron?
Oh, is it even a question? No doubt it's us, Robin. Check this out today on the show. We got Boston Marathon winner Des Linden, 23-time Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps, and former Knicks great John Starks, all today here on SI Now.
That's right. We now welcome in our NBA analyst, John Starks. John, Cleveland changed the starting lineup. They put in J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver for shooting around LeBron, which worked in the sense that their starters outscored the Pacers starters, but they still needed a dominant 46-point performance from LeBron, including their first 16 points to eke out the victory. After the game, Coach Ty Lue said other guys on the team need to step up. Is there anything the Cavs can do to get the rest of the team going, or is LeBron's supporting cast just not good enough?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. If they relying on LeBron to give them those type of numbers, during this series, then I don't see them even making this a series, in these next 5 games. And so, they have to step up. I think they just have to be more aggressive. I think they can't really look at LeBron and say, you take us to the promised land. I think they just have to go out there and play their game. That's why they have those supporting roles. So you just have to go out there and focus on the things that you do well and not worry about what LeBron is going to do, because he's going to go out there and play and give it his all, as we all know. But I think really the injury to Kevin Love, that can be very serious to them in their chances to beat Indiana. Indiana know one thing. They know that they're confident enough to beat Cleveland. They didn't prove it all season long in these first 2 playoff games. Last game was there for the taking, but it's going to be a difficult next 5 games if we get to a 5th game.
All right, John, out west, the Jazz knock off the Thunder in Game 2. Another big night for Utah's Donovan Mitchell. It was 55 points combined in the first 2 games in the series. Mitchell passes Michael Jordan as the most points by a rookie guard in his first 2 playoff games. As a young guy, a young guard, how do you get yourself ready mentally to attack the way he did in this spot here?
Well, he's wise beyond his years, I think. You listen to his teammates, you listen to his coaching staff talk about him. He don't play like a rookie, and he don't think like a rookie. Yeah, and so and that's evident in the way that he's playing in these first 2 playoff games. He knows that he has to carry the team, and from an offensive standpoint, things are going to go. The ball is going to go through him. He reminds me of a young Mitch Richmond, who I played with in 1988, who won the Rookie of the Year in 88-89 season. And so that's the type of guy he is. I think he's aggressive. I think he believes in himself. He believes in his teammates around him. Thunder, they should be worried about this, because I wasn't expecting them to lose that game last night. I expected them go back to Utah up 2-0, but now it's a series.
Yeah, let's talk about the Thunder here. Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, a combined 0 for 14 in the 4th quarter. How concerned are you with the Thunder now heading out to Salt Lake City for Game 3?
Very concerned. You have to get better production out of those 3 guys. That's the big 3 on that team, and you can't go 0 for 14 in doing a game like that. I know it's tough, but they rely on them so much from an offensive load that those guys have to step up and play a lot better. For some reason, Oklahoma City, which gives me pause about them sometimes, is that they play sort of down to their competition. If they feel like the team is not, that they should beat the team that they're playing against. But like when they go against Golden State and the Houston Rockets of the world, they seem to lift their game up to another level. So it's all about what mental approach that this team has when they're going up against a team that they should beat.
Now, the Rockets, they're taking care of a team that they should beat in the T-Wolves. It was sort of the antithesis of Game 1, because James Harden struggled and the other Rockets balled. Harden just 2 of 18, but Houston won by 20. Does this show just how for real the Rockets are this year?
That's a good sign for the Rockets, knowing that your best player on the team struggled like he did, and you still beat a very solid team in Minnesota Timberwolves by 20. And so that shows the depth that they have, that they don't have to rely on Harden as much when he's struggling like he he was last night. And so if I'm Houston, I'm happy. I'm happy. Timberwolves, for some reason, is just not playing good basketball right now. And it's kind of, you know, you scratch your head with this team because they have all the talent in the world. They haven't put the pieces together for in this playoffs so far.
To that point, Karl Anthony-Towns really struggling. 5 points, 24 minutes, 2 of 9 from the field. To me, he looked like he was shying away from the playoff contact. He also didn't get many touches, though. Do you think his struggles are a Towns problem or a Tibbs problem?
Both. I think that Tibbs have to understand that he can be a dominant force down low for them. He can do multiple things. He can take you outside. He can take you off the dribble. But he has to get himself going, too. You know, I know Tibbs have to run a little bit more plays for him, but he's such a dominant player when he can just be active. I don't see that activity out of him like you have all season long, just from an energy level. Maybe he's tired. I'm not sure. But normally he's all over the board. He's sprinting up and down. But unless they get what he brings to the table in these next, 4 or 5 ball games, then they don't stand a chance. They may end up getting swept. This is an important game for them coming up. The third game is very important that they win, just to get some confidence that they can beat this team.
All right, the playoffs continue tonight through the weekend. John, of course, will be back with us next week to break it all down. John Starks, thanks for being with us. All right, in New York, the Knicks are continuing their coaching search with plans to talk with TNT analyst Kenny Smith. Now, Smith has no coaching experience. Robin, Kenny the Jet, is he even qualified to coach the New York Knicks?
No, he isn't. But I still don't hate this idea. I kind of like it, actually. I mean, watching Kenny Smith over the years, he seems like a smart guy. He's a sharp analyst. In fact, of that crew, he's the only one I'm looking to for basketball analysis. He has the kind of personality that would make me think he would get along well with players. So the only thing is missing is experience. Now, you don't get experience until someone gives it to you. And I think in the head coaching position, you can bring in a very experienced assistant and guide you along the way. So I prefer Kenny Smith to some of the retread names we've seen out there for the Knicks.
Yeah, there's kind of a theme here, too. He's got the ties to New York. He grew up in Queens, played high school ball here, but this isn't the guy they should be targeting. When you look at the candidates that have been linked to the Knicks, David Fizdale just screams of, yes, this is the guy to turn this franchise around. The only problem here is he had problems with his biggest star in Memphis. If you read the quotes from James Dolan yesterday, he says that's a big part of the next coach, has to get along with his big star. Hornacek and Porzingis had issues. I think that's probably going to get in the way, but from a X's and O's basketball standpoint, seems like Fizdale is the guy here. All right, the boxing world was dealt a blow on Wednesday as the Nevada State Athletic Commission suspended Canelo Alvarez 6 months for a failed drug test. Now, this is the lightest punishment for this kind of infraction. The suspension means Alvarez's May 5th fight with Gennady Golovkin has been canceled. Robin, 6 months in boxing. Does it mean anything? No,
this is meaningless. You know, the real punishment was missing the Triple G fight. That was a huge platform, a huge payday. 6 months is basically the time he'd be off between fights anyway. So for me, the loss of the fight was what was really going to hurt his reputation. This 6-month ban for failing the drug test, it's just something we're going to talk about for a minute and move on from. I don't think it's the stain on his career or the quote-unquote discipline that's going to hammer the message home.
Yeah, I compare this to a 5-game suspension for a pitcher in Major League Baseball. They're going to miss those 5 games anyway because they're rest. This is not a big deal. He's going to fight Golovkin likely in September. Golovkin's going to get a fight, a makeup fight May 5th. And this is kind of what happens when money's involved. The Nevada State Athletic Commission, obviously the state benefits off having these fights, having Alvarez in the ring rather than be suspended. So, yeah, no question there was something fishy about cutting this down to 6 months rather than a year.
Well, and the thing with boxing, and the same thing goes for mixed martial arts as well, it's always asked, is this terrible for the sport? In a sense, I guess, but if we keep having that conversation every time one of these things happen, it can't be that bad because we're still talking about it. We'll see something new at the World Cup this summer, different than the same old stories in boxing. FIFA announced replays of reviews looked at by video assistant referees will be shown for the first time on the big screen after the call is made. Would you rather they show it during the actual decision?
I would like to see the replay at least during the decision while it's being looked at. But this is pretty cool when you read about it. This VAR, this review system here, they're going to give a written explanation to the ruling, communicating that to the fans after the decision is made. That is really good stuff because in other sports you don't get that. In the NFL, they try. The referees usually butcher the explanation. Major League Baseball, you sit there, you have no idea what they looked at, why they made the ruling they did. The umpire comes out, puts his finger up, and they keep playing ball. So I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's not that innovative to me. It's showing a replay, and the fans in the arena deserve the opportunity to see the replay. One of the problems with attendance across sports in general is that the television or the digital product has gotten so good that you're not necessarily incentivized to be there because you could be missing things. You can make the argument you see the game better away from the game than at the game. So they should be doing everything they can in arenas to make the in-game experience better.
No doubt. This improves the in-game experience, which is good for not just this sport, all sports if they can get on board. Well, the 122nd running of the Boston Marathon saw absolutely brutal conditions on an already difficult course, but that historically bad weather in New England helped produce a historic champion. Happy to have the women's winner, Des Linden, here with us. Des, you became the first American woman since 1985 to win in Boston. Tell me about that experience, the wind, the cold, the rain. It affected the time, obviously, of 18 minutes slower than the years past. But when you run in something like that, does it favor a certain type of runner, those conditions?
Oh, 100%. It's mentally tough, gritty people who are grinders and can just put their head down and go. And I think we all went through the ups and downs out there. I certainly had moments where I thought I might drop out. Like, there's no way, this is too hard. And then you look around and you realize everyone's suffering. That's what we signed up for because it's a marathon and you're just going to hurt. So embrace it and have some fun with it. As much fun as possible.
Yeah, right.
I think I did.
You talk about that early on. You felt like you were going to drop out. In fact, you stopped to help one of your friends, Shalane Flanagan, and a fellow American runner, as she went to the bathroom. You waited for her because you didn't think you were actually going to make it through the race. How do you explain that connection with Shalane in a sport where it's very obviously individual, solitary, while you're running for 2-3 hours at a time by yourself? What's that connection like with Shalane?
Yeah, I mean, we've been on Team USA a few times together, and the Americans wanted it so bad. This year, we just knew it was our year. We put Molly Huddle in there, we put Shalane in there. We had a slew of really great runners, and I figured if it wasn't going to be my day, let's make it work for somebody else and just have an American break the tape. We were so due.
Talk about where you guys rank historically. Shalane, are you guys part of the Mount Rushmore of American women's marathoners?
We're going to have to add some more faces. The mountain's getting a little bit crowded, but we're back. We're better than ever. I think anytime you turn on a major race, you can watch Tokyo, you can watch London, New York, Chicago, obviously Boston. We're going to have players in there. There's going to be Americans to root for. There's going to be stories that are so inspiring because what we do it's incredible. And I'm biased, but there's a lot going on in running, and people should really tune in.
Let's talk about Boston specifically. Always known as a very prideful race, the history of the race, what's happened in the last few years, the 5-year anniversary, obviously, of the bombing up there. When it comes to American pride, does the Boston Marathon bring a little more out of that in some of the runners? Yeah,
that's the one. I mean, we love New York, we love Chicago, but they're not 122 years old, and they're not going to catch up, unfortunately. So there's just the history there, and everyone wants to be part of that legacy and that story, and to bring Americans back into it and get people to tune in and have somebody to cheer for out there, you know, just to be able to root for it and feel a part of that pride that we do as runners is pretty special.
The 26.2 miles obviously takes a toll on your body. Mm-hmm. What do you do now? How much time do you take off, and when do you hit the pavement again and get running?
Yeah, that's going to be a good question. I have not planned anything in life past Monday, so this is all coming at me super fast. Got to get the mind right, got to get the body right. I'll take 3 weeks off, no running, eat the burgers, drink the beer, do all the stuff you don't do while training. And when I feel ready and excited and rejuvenated again, back to the road and back planning.
You mentioned drinking the beer. I know you're a whiskey connoisseur,
Yes.
But your husband put something up on Instagram that showed that you do like the beer, not just the whiskey. I think you drank out of a sneaker?
It's the shoey.
The shoey.
Daniel Ricciardo.
There it is. Okay, there's the video.
Of course this is here. Oh, my goodness. That's fantastic.
How did this happen?
We're big Formula One fans, and Daniel Ricciardo does the shoey after he wins, and I think it's the coolest thing ever. And if you're a runner, you want to put the Brooks up there and show it off, and you drink out of the shoe, right?
It's got to taste a little bit sweeter coming out of the shoe. Right?
That's, my feet are definitely sweet. So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
the first
you so
American
much.
woman since 1985 to win the Boston Marathon. Des Linden, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm now joined by the winningest Olympic athlete of all time, former USA swimmer Michael Phelps. Here's a global ambassador for Colgate Save Water, a very important cause, which we will talk more about in a minute. But first, you are officially retired from swimming, but you are still quite busy. What has your retirement been like?
Nonstop. I mean, I really haven't stopped since Rio. So it's been a fun journey, though. You know, being able to finish my career how I did. It's been a crazy 2 years. It's been a fast 2 years, but it's been fun. I mean, honestly, I asked Nicole the other day where time had gone, and we both just looked at Boomer, and that's where it went.
Do you find much time to get in the pool these days? How often are you able to swim?
I might get in once or twice a week, two, 3 times a week max. And honestly, it's more for just like peace and quiet and kind of getting away from everything and just kind of relaxing. I think that's really what I love the most about it. So for me, it's just something that kind of helps me mentally just to basically stay sane.
Have you gotten Boomer in the pool yet?
Oh yeah. I mean, Booms tries to get in the pool almost every single day we're home. He basically brings his swim diapers to me almost every single day at like the exact same time with a pair of shorts, like a swimsuit, and he just points at the pool. He's like, "Dad, we're going outside. Let's go." If he could have it how he wants, I think he'd be in the pool almost every day, and he would be in the pool all day.
I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree there on that one. Obviously, you're in a very different chapter of life than you were when you were in the Olympics, training for the Olympics. You've opened up a lot about your experience battling depression, and as you've continued to work on your recovery, how is it different now, your fight to stay mentally healthy? How is it different now in retirement than it was when you were competing?
I mean, it's still there. Obviously, it's something that I'm going to have my whole entire life, and it's just not something that's going to go away. So, for me, I'm just very fortunate to have the tools and to have the knowledge to be able to get through some of the obstacles that I still still have from day to day. And I'm always constantly learning on different things that help me, that I can potentially pass along to other people that can help them as well.
When you talk about passing that along to other people, I know one of the things that you've also spoken about is the USOC. You've been very critical of how they do nothing to help athletes transition after the Olympics. Do you think that they don't know that this is a problem, or that they just don't think it's important enough to do anything about?
I mean, it's tough. I can speak for me personally. I know I probably sent a lot of signals when I was going through the struggles that I had. I still just find it really frustrating that we still don't have access, or athletes don't have access to get help, or have a way to try and search for help and to try to get what they need and what they deserve. And there's a lot of change that needs to be done, I think, in all the national governing bodies and especially the USOC with giving us what we need to be able to not only get through the Olympics, which they're great at, and they're very good at supporting us for our competition. But I think when it comes down to after we're done, for me personally, I just kind of feel like it's just like kind of move over, and there's some other people that are going to come in and take over your place. And to me, that's not fair. And it's not right. It's not healthy. You have one who committed suicide, Stephen Holcomb. And you have other athletes who I guarantee you, and I know some of them are going through the same exact thing that I went through. And whether it's they don't know where to go, they don't know who to reach out to, or they're afraid.
Well, as you've shared your story, have any of your former teammates or other Olympic athletes reached out to you about their struggles, or even just in solidarity with you?
I've had some, and more recently, coming off, I guess, the last 2 games, winter and summer, I've had athletes just reach out and ask questions or just want to talk. And For me, that's something that I love doing. For me, I have no problem sharing my stories and answering any question that's really, or try to help them get started on the right path to being able to find the help they deserve.
Well, hopefully this is only the beginning. You've talked about giving your kids a bright future, how much being a father is a big part of your life. I know one thing that you are passionate about is water conservation. Would you tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing with Colgate there?
So this is our second year working with Colgate and being able to spread the message about how important water conservation is. Being able to just teach and have people understand the importance of turn the water off while you're brushing your teeth. It's really not that hard. Boomer's to the point now where he just brushes his teeth on his own. We actually there's a little disc or a little sticker that you can put on your stopper that tells you when it's time to turn the water off. You can actually buy these now at Walmart. But for Boomer, it's kind of cool because he gets to see the colors. He gets to see things change when the water is running, so he knows to turn the water off. And that's something that I think as a parent is really fun and cool to watch. Such a young kid have an understanding on how to turn the water off and what he's doing.
It's great to hear about your family. It's really cool to see how passionate you are about being a father and hear about all the fun things going on with your kids. And we so appreciate you joining us, your vulnerability and your passion about all of the many things you're involved in. Michael Phelps, thank you so much for the time.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
All right, the NBA playoffs continue tonight. A couple series out west are 2-0, but a 1-1 series in the East. Big game 3 tonight, Robin. Sixers in Heat. We're coming off of Dwayne Wade's big performance in Game 2. How big is Game 3 for really determining, you think, the winner of this series?
I think it's huge, and I think it comes down to Philly's three-point shooting. In the absence of Embiid, it's a very similar situation to the Sixers and the Cavaliers because I've said Ben Simmons sort of modeled his game after LeBron, maybe the way Kobe did after Jordan, and they're playing him with 4 shooters. If the shooters are hitting, I like the Sixers in the game. If not, the Heat could really upend the East even more so than we've already seen.
Embiid listed as doubtful. Though hard to imagine if the Sixers lose tonight and they're staring at a 3-1 that a young team like that could bounce back. They've never been in that situation before. We'll see how they respond tonight in Game 3. Well, the NBA is mourning the passing of Erin Popovich this morning. The wife of Spurs head coach Greg Popovich passed away on Wednesday after a long bout with an illness, though the news came as a surprise to those around the NBA. Greg Popovich may coach in San Antonio, but support for him and his family poured in from around the league on Wednesday night.
It's just a lot. I mean, the NBA family, we all stick together. I know we compete every night, but something like this happens, it puts everything in perspective.
Literally, Kevin, just found out 2 minutes ago. Yeah, they just put out a statement 2 minutes ago.
Seriously? Prayers and condolences go out to his family.
Well, you don't see genuine, raw emotion from professional athletes all that often. You saw it there, and it really reflective, Robin, of how they feel and how they respect Greg Popovich.
I mean, I don't know Greg Popovich, and I felt that one, and I can't even imagine being someone with them for 40 years, and then they're just gone. Hopefully you'll be with us here tomorrow as we're back in the same time and the same place. Our thoughts go out to the Popovich family today.